Sometimes you got to ask yourself, what in the world is going on? If you've been around our planet for any length of time, you notice it just seems to be getting more and more chaotic. In the last month, we've had the shooting down in Orlando. We've had deputy bailiffs shot in Berrien Springs, Michigan. We had the terrorist attack in Nice, France. We had 2 people killed last night at a hospital in Titusville, Florida. And just everywhere you look, the world just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. Matter of fact, we live just about 30 miles north from Walt Disney World. And when you go to Walt Disney World, the premise that they push is that this is the happiest place on earth. It's a place where people travel from all over the world because they want to find happiness. People save, people invest, people do all kinds of things to come there and give everything they have to Disney for a little souvenir, a little Mickey Mouse, a little something. Matter of fact, we live in a society or culture where we really try to find happiness doing something. I myself, I love to ride motorcycles, and so I find happiness on a motorcycle sometimes. I like to go to the beach. Sometimes I find happiness on the beach. Sometimes. Sometimes I go to Jeremiah's Italian Ice and I have a mango gelati and on the hot 100-degree humid days in Florida, and I take a bite of it and I feel happy sometimes. Yet in the midst of a world gone crazy, we either have to find a source of happiness and inner peace, or we are going to go nuts. We're going to be on Prozac, we're going to be on anxiety medicine, antidepressants, we're just going to be loaded up because the world is going crazy. In the midst of all this, there's this little verse in the Bible found in Philippians that talks about the potential to have joy, the potential to have this inner sense of peace. And I have been astounded by Philippians chapter 4 because the writer of Philippians, the Apostle Paul, back in the day, he seemed to think that no matter what was going on, you could find happiness if you really looked. So I've been doing a lot of research on what in the world do people do to cause happiness. And there is all kinds of research projects that have been out there by clinicians and psychiatrists and psychologists and social theory people, and the root of it all seems to be that our brain is designed in such a way that every second of every moment of every day, there's like 11 bits of information that are just zooming around. And our brain is trying to focus in on the 11 million bits of information, and research says that we can only zoom in on 40. So you have this 11 million bits of information, and we can only get 40 focused in. Now, if I'm a pessimistic type of person, then I tend to look throughout the day for 40 bits of negative information. And as a result, I tend to see the world in a negative way. It's almost like you can take a set of glasses. These are either going to be positive or negative, and you're going to place them on yourself, and that's the lens that you're going to use to look at the world. Things are either going to be positive or they're going to be negative. Now, if you go and you become a news junkie and you read all the negative clippings of terrorism and attacks and the economy and the presidential election here in the United States, it's just negative, negative, negative. Well, eventually you're going to train your brain to look for negativity in everything. And so you're going to become a pessimistic person. And any shot at happiness is going to go out the window. But research tells us that you can actually train your brain to rearrange its focus. Because in that 11 million bits of information, right, if you keep telling your brain, look for the positive, look for the positive, look for the positive, then what happens is it starts to focus in because it knows it can only focus in on 40 bits of information. So if you remind it, look, we need the positive, we need the positive, we need the positive, then what will happen is your brain will reprogram itself to start to look more optimistically. Now, according to research, there are some simple things that you can do. 2 in particular are really, really important, and I would challenge each of you to do these every single day. Because research says if you do these for 21 days, it starts to make a difference. And if you study yourself today and then 6 months later study yourself after doing this every day, your productivity, your optimism, everything should shoot up over 30%. So here's the 2 things you need to do. Number 1, at the end of every day, simply make a list of 3 positive things that have happened to you in that day. Three things. Number one, number two, number three. What are three great things that happened to you or good things that happened to you today? So at the end of the day, you write those three down. Then you take one of those three things and you write about it for about 2 minutes. You just enhance it. What that does is it starts to train your brain to look for the positive in life. Then when you write on it, you tend to reflect and relive the positive. And if you do this over 21 days, it starts to make a difference in your brain chemistry. It starts to make a difference in your outlook. And the longer you do it, the more effective it becomes. It's worth a shot. Because listen, in the world in which we live, negativity is going to boom, 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 go all around. Why not retrain your brain? You could start today.